This month, I love when I get to do the last talk of the month because it brings a theme to the close. And our theme this month has been the flows of coming and going, the movement of life, and how to stay centered and anchored and powerful in our own beingness as things move. And I don't know what's going on in your world, but my world has been a rockin' and shakin'. Anybody feel that in their own world? I mean, I spent some time today on my beloved TikTok, and I saw all these first-person views of people experiencing the big earthquake this weekend, including an American gal who was at the 27th floor of a hotel in Myanmar, and she's filming, watching the rooftop pool water come pouring down the side of the hotel, and she came through it okay. As did many people. There were some people hurt, but a lot of people were saved by good technology and wise choices. So whether it's what's happening in the news or what's happening in the weather or what's happening in your personal relationships, the world sways sometimes literally, and often it feels like it's swaying to us. So our talk today is on how do we bloom even in the sway? How do we stay solid even in the earthquake? And like many people, when I think of staying steady, I think of gyroscopes. So our engineers and our physics people will enjoy this. For everybody else, in the simplest terms possible, a gyroscope is a device that has a frame and spinning wheels within it, sometimes multiple spinning wheels. And the wheels create forces that allow the gyroscope to stay stable.
This is a gyroscope. If we simply stand it up, it will obviously fall due to Earth's gravity. However, when we spin it from the center, it creates angular momentum, which allows any object to remain stable with ease. In this case, it won't be affected by the gravitational force. Even if we change its direction, it will remain stable in its position. This principle is used in our bikes, cars, and aircraft to maintain balance despite tilting.
So they use these devices in airplanes, I use it when I'm using a gimbal with my cell phone to record my beloved TikToks. Where anything you use that's stabilized has gyroscopic technology in it. There are these forces from the spinning wheels that counteract and allow it to remain stable in motion. Are you with me? No matter how shaky things get, it is able to stay stable. And when you knock it to the side, did you see how it kept spinning and stabilized itself? And if we had been able to watch a 20-minute version of this, you're welcome that we didn't do that. You would have seen it slowly right itself, right back up into center hold. This is being used on the International Space Station to keep it in place. It is used all over the place in technology. And I thought, gosh, I wish I had an internal gyroscope that would keep me centered when life gets squirrely. And then I thought, oh, Reverend Leslie, you do. Are there mental forces or frames of mind that we can use to stabilize ourselves like a gyroscope so that whatever is happening, we either stay solid or can reset our center relatively quickly and easily? Do you suppose there are? Now, you might think I'm going to the place I always go to, which is to remind us that we need to do our daily substantial spiritual practice. But I think we know that at this point. We may or may not do it, but we know that that's what I'm going to say we need to do. So I've branched out. I have 3 frames of mind that are in addition to our friend, the daily spiritual practice. The first one is going to be nobody's favorite. So we're all going to take a nice deep breath. We're gyroscopically stable, yes? The first mindset is to embrace finding comfort in the discomfort, allowing the uncomfortable to happen and to not make it the uber crisis of existence. Unfortunately, our nervous systems as human beings, I'm a human being. Anybody else? Yep, awesome. Our nervous systems really only know how to detect safe and danger. And everything that feels different, weird, wrong, yucky, unsure is registered as danger. But discomfort isn't dangerous. I'm going to say it again because it's important. Discomfort isn't dangerous. People who think differently than you are not dangerous to you. They cannot go inside your cute little brain and change it and make it be like them. They can't take away the things you cherish by not cherishing them. They can't harm you through being different. Discomfort is not inherently dangerous. So how can we help ourselves when we run up against discomfort? People not like us, situations changing that we are not enjoying the change of. How can we set ourselves up to remember? So something you might have noticed about the gyroscope is that it sat on a base. There was a cute little triangle kind of base for it there. If you go onto YouTube after service and look up gyroscope videos, you'll see them on strings. I saw one really good one on a tip of a pencil, and he was doing all of this, and the gyroscope just stayed steady. What is your base? Spiritually, intellectually, internally, what is your base? So, see, I have people tell me all the time, Reverend Leslie, this is not a faith problem. I see like 4 people laughing right now. We've had this conversation. I have lots of faith. This is not a faith problem. When things are going really good, I have lots of faith. But then things go weird, and then I can't have faith in things that are weird. Faith is faith when we hold it even when things get weird, even in the discomfort. If we believe that revealing the power of love is our mission, our vision, our intention, our purpose in life, and then we walk into a room of angry, hateful people who are just mad as all fire about something, is that time to lay the love down? No. If that is our base, we stay locked in. Love is not something that we engage when it's convenient. Love is not something we engage when it feels safe. Love is not a comfort tool. If it's home base, then we activate that. What does that require? Setting aside ego, the part of us that doesn't want to be bigger, and our belief in fear. See, every time we see something that we're afraid of and we pay a lot of attention to that and we think that it's okay to turn our love switch off because there's something that we're afraid of out there, we are putting more faith in our fear than we are in spirit. Take a breath. There's a lot of fear out there right now, right? There's a lot of fear in here right now, right? And the only path through, I wish I could say the path through is we get like a big fire hose of God, love, thought, and we just spray it over the whole universe. And instead, what we do is we put it here. We put it right here in the center of our own being to remember the only place it can start is inside each individual human heart. It's not a small job, but y'all came here and signed up for it. You turned on devices to get this information. I'm just saying. You're engaged. Pema Chodron, the Buddhist philosopher and teacher, had this to say about it. She wrote, "As long as we're caught up in always looking for certainty and happiness, rather than honoring the taste and smell and quality of exactly what's happening, as long as we're always running from discomfort, we are going to be caught in a cycle of unhappiness and discomfort, and we will feel weaker and weaker." This way of seeing, this idea of being comfortable with discomfort, helps us develop inner strength. And isn't that what we're looking for? So once we've decided we're going to start working on finding the comfort in discomfort, next we have the call to act in the world from the truth of who we are, really, deep down, who we really are. We must act from our truth. And your nature, as a human being, I think we all established lots of humans around here, yes? Is to express as our unique form of spirit in action. There's one power, it has created everything, we exist, it's what we're made of. We have the option of walking that out or not. I don't think people come into this space or come onto this channel without that intention of walking out that divine love self. Dolphins swim. I have never, ever seen a dolphin fly through the sky. Little leap, but to fly, right? My dog will dig holes in the yard. There's no amount of fence, no amount of training, no amount of bad dog that's going to stop Apollo from digging a hole in that yard. It is natural for us to be who we are at our source. And yet, as people, somehow we get that a little bit confused. And one place I see it getting confused a lot is here in our beloved Centers for Spiritual Living, the global organization that is the parent organization of our center, New Vision Center for Spiritual Living, is that we are called vocally, intensely, regularly to sacred activism. Sacred activism. And I spend, more time than I would like to acknowledge on the ministerial listserv, listening to ministers, actually reading to ministers bicker back and forth about we do our work in consciousness. They're typing. We do our work in consciousness. We do our work in prayer. All of the work we do happens in prayer. That's what Ernest Holmes said. And then the other ones say, we're supposed to treat and move our feet. We're supposed to get out there and make change in the world. That's what Ernest Holmes said. I fear that conversation may never end, and I want no part of it because do you know what? They're both right. Ernest Holmes did say both of those things a lot of times in a lot of places. And I think this is what he meant. I tried to do a seance. He didn't show up, so I'm just going to do my best here. Our primary work is done in consciousness, in prayer, in meditation, in shifting our own awareness. And then sometimes, when we're doing that, ping, a message from the divine pops up that says, you're supposed to go do this thing. Someone should, such and such. And sometimes it's a march, and sometimes it's a service act, and sometimes it's a donation, and sometimes it's writing something. Anybody ever have that happen? Where in that prayerfulness, boom, here comes the idea. When we treat, meaning spiritual mind treatment, our form of affirmative prayer, and an idea comes up, that is acting in consciousness, and walking out any behavior that comes from that is working in consciousness. It's following the conscious thread. So if you are someone who's saying, I'm just going to pray, I don't want to march, I don't want to chant, I don't do politics, whatever, you know I'm talking about you if that's a thought in your heart. Dolphins swim. You pray and meditate. You do your work in that kind of consciousness. And if you are a beloved who is thinking, why aren't we doing anything? We as a whole group should be doing something. Let's do things. My beloveds, dolphins swim. You act from that spiritual impetus. That is yours to do. That is your working in consciousness. There's no wrong way to do this. If we start with prayerfulness, we will end up where each of us are individually and collectively where we're supposed to be. Does that land? We're wasting too much energy in the argument, and not enough energy is going into the actual beingness and doingness. And then finally, Ernest Holmes was really famous for saying something that doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, and that is we've got to stay open at the top. Have you ever heard us say that from up here and thought, what on earth is that supposed to mean? Open at the top. And what he meant by that was there's a lot of wisdom contained in what Ernest Holmes wrote about science of mind. And there's a lot of wisdom contained about what other ministers and teachers and philosophers and mystics have written about science of mind and everything else. But sometimes, I know it's none of you, but sometimes someone will say, we can't do that. That's not science of mind. We can't talk about that. Ernest Holmes didn't talk about that. We can't have Pema Chodron quoted in a service. That's not Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes said, don't have any retreats. I won't go to a retreat. When you have an advance, I'll come. We still have retreats anyway because it sounds lovely. Just restful. Open at the top means other people get a say too. More wisdom will come. And there is no difference between the wisdom of Ernest Holmes and the wisdom of you when you are prayed up and meditated up. Not a darn thing in the world. He just wrote it down. And actually, that's a lie. He didn't write it down. People chased him around with tablets, writing down what he just spoke. And that's how these books came to be. There is no one closer to God than you. There is no one with a clearer pathway to the divine than you. Ever. Open at the top means you get a say. And when you are being your sweet dolphin self, you bring truth to this center and to this life. So when we set our personal gyroscope spinning with the energy of allowing discomfort to be okay, and being who we really are at our truth, and staying open and flexible and willing, that is the place where we are stable, no matter what happens around us. The French philosopher and psychologist Henry Bergson said, to exist is to change is to mature. To mature is to go on creating oneself endlessly. And that is what we do. That is what we do here. And so my invitation to all of us this day and every day is to be brave enough to keep changing into a closer version of who we really are, that divine in action. And so it is. Let's anchor this in with some prayer. How good it is to just rest in the knowingness that there is this power, this presence that is divine, that is everywhere, that has made everything that ever has been or ever will be, and that each within the sound of my voice is made up of it. That this divinity, this beloved consciousness, this God, is always right where each is, containing exactly what is needed in every situation. And so I just affirm that whatever got brought into this sanctuary or this online sanctuary and the minds and the hearts of the beloveds who call this place home or friend, that sweet Spirit is already working on it. That without even needing to ask, Spirit is a yes for the highest good of each beloved. And as we feel into the strength and the power of what each chooses and wants for our lives, as we press that thought into the law that always says yes, it is inevitable that healing comes. And so I speak forth a powerful healing. A healing that reveals wholeness, that reveals abundance, that reveals love, that reveals empowerment for each and every one. I'm grateful, grateful, grateful to know this truth, grateful for the good. I release it all into the action of universal law, and we claim it together as we say, and so it is.